I will use this room so the ugly maid wife can use the attic.
Why do I have to be spoken to like this? After all, I was the one who built this house. My mother-in-law Susan, who forced her way into the new house registered in my name, insisted on living together. No, that's a bit...
Huh? Are you talking back to me? Unbelievable. Normally, you would just give it up to me, your mother-in-law, without saying a word.
No. Normally you wouldn't give it up, and I definitely don't want to give anything to you, who has been bullying me all this time. After that, Susan and I continued to argue for a while, but it gradually became a hassle.
I'm saying it's okay for you to live in the attic. Hurry up and tell me you'll give me this house, you ugly bride.
What Susan said was the last straw. Calling me ugly and a maid? Give me a break. If that's what you're going to say, fine. All right, I understand. Then, Susan, please live in this house. I will leave.
You should have just obeyed me from the start. Well then, I will gladly live in this house.
Susan was overjoyed to hear I was leaving. She can enjoy it for now, but let me clarify, I never once said, I will give you the house. The ownership of this house is still mine. I will never forgive Susan, who always bullied me as her daughter-in-law. When I leave the house, I swore in my heart that I would get my revenge on Susan. My name is Claire. 4 years ago, I married Jeff, a man of my age who works at a car dealership. Claire, do you ever think about wanting your own home? Well, yes, but we haven't saved up much money yet. Right. If only I could earn more. Although I work as a designer at a major advertising agency, I couldn't afford to buy a house yet. We lived in a cheap apartment, dreaming of one day building our own home. The relationship with my husband is good and we rarely fight. But his mother, Susan, and I have the worst relationship.
You're Jeff's marriage partner? You look like you have little luck. I wonder what Jeff saw in someone like you.
When I went to my in-laws' house to greet them for marriage, I still remember being told that by Susan, whom I met for the first time. All I could do at that time was to give a bitter smile and just endure as time passed.
And just so you know, I've never had financial problems. My husband has passed away, but he was an executive at a company. We received a substantial retirement fund. Envious, aren't you?
Hey, stop it. It's embarrassing. There's no need to boast like that.
It's the truth, so it's fine. I come from a wealthy family and we even had maids. Oh, how about it? Since you're here, why don't you work as my maid?
No, I'd rather not. This is the first time I've met someone who flaunts their wealth like this. From the way she speaks, she must have been quite wealthy. However, my husband doesn't usually talk about such things. Surely, having grown up seeing his mother like this, he must have thought not to turn out the same. Hey, what's up? You seem spaced out. Huh? Oh, sorry. I just got lost in thought about the past. While talking about money with my husband, I inadvertently remembered meeting Susan. I should stop thinking about her so much. Our apartment and my in-laws' house are about a 30-minute walk apart, but my husband probably keeps it that way. Susan doesn't visit us often. Meeting just a few times a year is totally fine. If we keep our distance like this, I should be safe. That's what I thought, but an event happened that led me to receive terrible treatment from Susan. It was 6 months later. When I came home from work, my husband was sitting in a chair with a somber expression. What happened to make him look so serious? Jeff, what's wrong? When I asked, my husband knelt down crying and apologized to me. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I got fired from the company. What? But why? The company was involved in some malpractices and it came to light. Because of that, profits plummeted and they started downsizing. I was also targeted because my sales performance wasn't very good. So it's a layoff. I can't blame him for this. It's okay. We'll just have to find another job. But with a reduced income, who knows when we can buy a home if we keep paying rent for the apartment. That's true, but we'll just have to try and cut back, right? That's right. From now on, my income alone will have to suffice. I was wondering what to do when my husband made a suggestion. My husband suggested that we live with his parents. So, you might not like this, but how about we live at my parents' house for a while? It would save on rent. Indeed, that would save on rent, and we might even be able to save a little bit. No other choice. Honestly, I hated the idea of living with Susan, but after discussing it with my husband, we decided to move to his parents' house. A week later, we moved out of our apartment and headed to my husband's parents' house.
Well, you finally made it. Welcome.
Thank you. We'll be in your care for a while. Meeting Susan after such a long time, I felt frightened, even though she hadn't done anything yet. Seeing my fear, Susan smirked.
You understand your place here as a guest in this house, right?
Sorry? What do you mean?
It's obvious, isn't it? You'll be doing the cleaning, laundry, and shopping, right?
What?
Of course, that's only natural. Start with cleaning the living room, and you can use any room you like.
She said this and returned to her own room. Although I knew I had to help out since we were staying there, a part of me wanted to protest. I held my tongue, thinking maybe she understood that I worked too. However, I was being naive. The next day, the severe bullying by Susan began.
Aren't you back from work late? Look, there's a pile of laundry, and today you need to clean the bathroom. And hurry up with dinner. I'm starving.
At that point, it would have been nice if she could do some of it herself, but I didn't have the courage to ask that. I didn't want to upset her and risk being kicked out. Sorry. I'll get on it right away. Complying so meekly was perhaps my mistake. From that day forward, the bullying from Susan escalated.
Bring me coffee. I'm tired. Give me a massage.
Every day as soon as I returned from work, she would order me around, leaving me no time to rest. I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. I'm hoping things will change, but it seems Jeff still hasn't found a job, so we can't move out of his parents' house yet. Susan, I'm sorry to ask you this, but I come home late from work too. If possible, could you help out with the household chores during the day?
Huh? Why should I have to do that? If you're going to say that, you might as well quit your job.
Being told to quit my job? It's not that simple. That night before going to bed, I told my husband what his mother had said. Today, your mother told me to quit my job if I can't manage the household. Could you maybe ask her to help out a little with the chores? Even if she said that, maybe it's not a bad idea for you to quit your job. What are you saying? You haven't found a job yet, and if I quit too, we wouldn't be able to survive. It'll be okay. We'll make do. Jeff says it'll be okay, as if it doesn't concern him, but I don't see any sign of him looking for a job. Even when I come home early, he's just lounging on the sofa, and on weekends, he's just drinking beer from morning. From that moment, I started to feel like I couldn't rely on my husband. Of course, he hasn't said anything to his mother. 3 months have passed, and the bullying from Susan continues. At this rate, it really might break my heart and spirit. That's when I decided to forcefully go ahead and buy a new house. When I told my husband about buying a new house, he responded indifferently. Sure. Why not? I immediately took my husband to a real estate agent. If we started building a new house now, we'd still have to live with Susan for at least 6 more months. I couldn't wait that long. I chose a newly constructed house and signed the contract that day. That would finally free me from Susan's torment, but my plans were fragile and quickly fell apart. 2 weeks later, today is the first weekend in our new house since we moved. We just moved in and things have been hectic with work, so I thought I'd organize some things today. That's when the doorbell rang. Who could it be, considering we just moved here? With that thought, I checked the door monitor. What? Why? On the monitor, Susan appeared. I hadn't given her our address. How does she know where we live? Feeling fearful, I spoke through the intercom. Susan? It's been a while.
Nice house. I've come for a visit. Hurry up and open the door, will you?
Well, my things are all over the place right now. If you're here to visit, maybe another time would be better.
Just open the door quickly.
Hearing her shout, I reluctantly obeyed, reminded of the times she controlled me at her house. When I opened the door, she ignored me and walked straight into the house.
Ah, the smell of a new house is wonderful.
What brings you here today? Ignoring my question, she walked around the new house, inspecting every corner as if assessing the property.
After a while, she said, Where's your room?
It's right up the stairs.
You have surprisingly good taste. I think I'll take that room for myself.
What does she mean? I don't understand what she's saying. Susan, let me ask you again. Why are you here today?
It's obvious, isn't it? I came to see if I can live here.
Huh? I let out a pitiful sound in disbelief. Live here? I hadn't heard anything about that.
Your room will be mine. It's wasted on a maid bride like you.
No, wait a minute. You can't just decide that suddenly.
What? You have a problem with that? Well, then, you can use the attic. That should solve it, right?
No, that's not the point. After all, I bought this house. But Susan doesn't know this and thinks her son bought it.
Jeff must have worked hard to earn the money for this house, right? Then it's only natural that I live here. Besides, as your mother-in-law, it's only right that I demand a room, and you, as the daughter-in-law, should just give it up, shouldn't you? Isn't that common sense?
That's not common sense at all. It's you who lacks common sense. It's unbelievable to just show up and decide to live together like this. Our argument continued, but she showed no signs of giving up. Gradually, I grew weary of dealing with her, and it became too troublesome to even argue.
I'm telling you, it's fine for you to live in the attic. Just hurry up and say, you'll give me this house, you ugly bride.
At that remark from Susan, my patience finally snapped, calling me ugly and a maid. Enough is enough. If that's what you're going to say, then fine. All right, I understand. Then Susan, please live in this house. I will leave.
You should have just obeyed me from the start. Well, then I will gladly live in this house.
Susan was overjoyed to hear I was leaving. She can enjoy it for now. But let me clarify, I never once said I will give you the house. I will own this house no matter what. I will never forgive you for constantly bullying me as a daughter-in-law. At this moment, I swore to myself that I would get my revenge on Susan. I decided to leave the new house that very day. I never thought I would face such a situation just after buying and moving into a new home.
What are you doing, Claire? You're packing up your things?
I'm leaving this house. As I was packing up my room, my husband came in and asked me. I was also furious with my husband, who still seemed carefree. I had to put up with Susan taking advantage of me for ages, just because he didn't bother to find a job.
What? You're leaving? What happened all of a sudden? We just bought this house.
I've had enough of both you and your mother. Your mother treats me like a maid, and despite my dislike, I was forced to buy this house. And now, she tells me to live in the attic while she lives here?
Isn't that okay? We're family after all.
Hearing my husband's words, something inside me snapped. Just because we're family, that's supposed to be okay? Don't be ridiculous. For the first time, my anger reached a peak and I yelled at my husband. Don't be ridiculous. I felt sorry for you when you were laid off, but how long do you plan to stay unemployed? You don't even seem to be looking for a job, just lazing around every day. If you had so much free time, you could have taken care of your mother instead of me. I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce.
Divorce? Wait, please. I really was looking for a job.
Then why is it taking so long? Working as a full-time employee isn't the only kind of job. I could have endured it if you had even tried part-time. But you didn't do that either. Bad conditions, low salary, making excuses not to work is just laziness. If you really felt sorry about losing your income, you could at least try to find a part-time job. In the end, you probably just saw me as nothing more than an ATM. I thought he might say something in return, but he remained silent. Your silence means you agree with the divorce, right?
Okay. If you say so, let's get divorced.
What a pathetic man. If he had any pride, he would rush out right now to look for a job, even if just a part-time one. Well, it's useless to say anything more now. I handed him the divorce papers I had kept just in case. Here, sign this now. Once I get your signature, I'll leave. His hand might have been shaking as he signed the divorce papers with an ugly scrawl.
There, I've signed it.
I took the signed divorce papers from him and verified that he had indeed signed. Yes, you've signed properly. I'll file this at the lawyer's office. Also, I won't ask for compensation. There's no way you could pay it anyway since you don't work, and I don't want to have anything to do with you ever again. With that, I left the new house.
I went straight to the lawyer's office and filed the divorce papers. Soon, Jeff and Susan will be complete strangers to me. No longer being family, I will not show any mercy to those two. I will make sure they fall into hell. After leaving the lawyer's office, I headed to a real estate agent. Upon entering, I immediately said to the staff, "I want to sell the house." The staff, taken aback by my sudden approach, nevertheless began to assist me.
Do you have the property deed?
"Yes, here it is."
I'll take a look. Oh.
The staff froze as they opened the deed. "What's wrong? Is there a reason it can't be sold?" "What's the matter?"
Well, this house was just recently bought, wasn't it? It's not even half a year old.
"Yes, I no longer need it. A house inhabited by such people is no longer necessary for me. If someone is going to take advantage of it, I'd rather it be someone else." When I explained this, the staff, understanding my situation, immediately started the process to sell the house.
The contract is complete. We will contact you once a buyer is found.
"Understood. Thank you for your assistance." After leaving the real estate office, I decided to return to my parents' home. My sudden return shocked my parents, but they became even angrier than I was when I explained the situation and announced my divorce.
How dare they treat Claire like that? I will never forget them. I'll make them pay.
Please stop, Dad. I don't want to have anything to do with them anymore, so just let it go, okay? It was hard to calm my father down, but he eventually regained his composure. For the time being, I will be staying at my parents' home. 2 weeks later, by now, those two probably don't even know I've sold the house and are blissfully unaware. As I was pondering over coffee in the living room, the phone rang. It's here. "Hello, has it been decided?"
Yes, a buyer has been found, but...
"But?"
The buyer doesn't like the fence and has requested that it be demolished before they move in.
"Well, that's a minor issue. I didn't need to be asked about that." "That's perfectly fine. Go ahead and do as you please. Besides, I don't even have the right to refuse anymore."
Well, your ex-mother-in-law and ex-husband are still living there.
"That's fine. Initially, when the house was sold, they were supposed to move out, but you kindly let them stay until a buyer was found, right? How about this? Let me know the day of the construction. I'll be there to supervise." I was informed that the demolition of the fence at the house would take place next Saturday. After hanging up the phone, I couldn't stop laughing. I could vividly imagine the two of them panicking. Finally, the time of my revenge had come. I was eager for the day to arrive. And so the day of the construction arrived. The demolition of the fence was scheduled for 8 a.m. I was so excited that I hardly slept the night before and arrived an hour early. I couldn't wait for it to start. I checked the time. It was 7:50 a.m. Workers started to gather, and among them, I spotted the real estate agent who noticed me and approached with a smile.
Thank you for coming today.
"It's no problem. I've been looking forward to this."
Looking forward to it?
"Oh, never mind that. Please don't worry about it."
But really, are you sure we shouldn't inform the two inside about the construction?
"That's fine. It's more convenient this way. Please, start the work." As if I had become the site supervisor, I loudly directed the workers. Prompted by my command, they began firing up the heavy machinery to start demolishing the fence. "What? What is going on here? What are you doing? Stop this right now!" The noise was unmistakable. In a panic, Susan rushed out of the house, followed by my ex-husband. "Oh, Susan, it's been a while. How have you been?" "Claire? You! Stop them right now!" "Huh? What did you say?" "It's too noisy. I can't hear you well." Of course I could hear her. I pretended not to understand, which made Susan's face turn red with anger. "I get it. This is your doing. You think you can get revenge just because I kicked you out. Doing such things, I'm calling the police." If she wanted to call the police, she could. But it would be them, not me, who would be in trouble. I smugly responded to Susan. "If you call the police, won't it be you who gets arrested?" "Huh? What nonsense are you talking about? There's no way that's true." As we argued, the construction progressed smoothly. It seemed that the fence was mostly demolished. Noticing this, Susan became even more enraged. "Ah, my house. I will never forgive you." It was about time. I was getting tired of her reaction. I decided it was time to tell her the truth. Well, there's a reason things have come to this.
How about we talk inside the house so we don't disturb the workers? Though she was reluctant, Susan begrudgingly led me into the house.
So what's the reason? If you make up any excuses, I really will call the police.
Like I said, feel free to call the police. It's you who would get arrested.
Let's set that aside for now. Can you explain why this is happening?
My ex-husband intervened. Fine. I began to slowly reveal the truth. Okay, I originally bought this house.
What? What are you saying? Jeff bought the house, right?
No, what Claire is saying is correct. I didn't buy it.
What? Wait, you mean...
Yes, I bought this house, so you understand who owns it now, right?
You mean it's you?
Susan seemed to have realized the truth. Correct. I no longer own it, though. Do you understand what this means? The house has already been sold.
No way.
Oh, how satisfying to hear such a pathetic voice from Susan who tormented me so much.
But there was no need to go this far.
No, you're one to talk. I almost couldn't help but retort. I struggled to suppress my laughter as I glared at her and delivered a sarcastic remark. How does it feel being paybacked by the ugly maid wife you exploited so much? I feel fantastic. You can't live in this house anymore. Too bad, huh? That's why I told you. If you called the police, you would be the ones getting arrested. It would be trespassing.
Hey, there's no need to say that much.
Even now you still take your mother's side? You really are dumb. You should hurry up and find somewhere else to live. With the interior cleaning and all, you'll be forced to leave in less than a month. It seemed neither the ex-husband nor my ex-mother-in-law had the energy left to argue. I left the house with a clear expression. Oh, it's pretty cleaned up here.
Yes, we'll wrap up for today. By the way, what were you discussing inside?
Oh, I just told those two to pack up their things and leave soon. Now that a buyer has been found, we can't afford any trouble. If they refuse to leave, feel free to call the police without hesitation. Well, I'm off now. After saying goodbye to the staff, I headed back to my parents' home. The expressions on their faces, especially Susan's look of despair, were priceless. It was all worth it, just for that. Serves you right. As I soaked in the bath at my parents' house, I raised my fist triumphantly towards the sky. 2 weeks later, I received a message from my ex-husband.
It's been a while. I moved into a cheap apartment right after that, so you don't have to worry about the house anymore. Also, I've started reflecting and got a job at a factory as a temp. I regret not acting sooner. Regretting won't bring you back, though. Mom has started taking her frustrations out on me since you left. I'm realizing how tough it was. Claire, you were having a hard time too. Take care.
You know what they say, too little too late. You finally understood something that's not impossible to fix. I deleted his message without replying back to him and blocked his number. I want no more disturbances from now on. I've decided to take pleasure in my solo life for now and live without stress, engaging in activities that bring me joy.